Hello guys, and welcome to the first module of our shirt making course. In this module, I will be showing you how to draft a female shirt pattern. Basically, a female shirt comprises of the body's pattern, collar, and the sleeve. So in making a female shirt, the first step is to draft a basic shirt pattern. Now, the kind of collar and sleeve you will be adding to your shirt determines the final output of your shirt design. For a female shirt, you can attach any kind of collar and sleeve, unlike the male shirt, which strictly requires a two-piece shirt collar and a shirt sleeve. A female shirt can also be with sleeve or comes as a sleeveless. It can be with a collar or without a collar. But on this course, I will be focusing on a female shirt with a neckband and a bishop sleeve, just like the image displaying on your screen right now. So in drafting a basic shirt pattern, I have my pattern paper on my drafting table already, as you can see. So the edges of my pattern paper here is going to be my starting point, while this side is going to be my center front side. So the first step is to insert my placket allowance. The amount of placket allowance you will be adding determine the type of placket you are adding to your shirt. Okay, you can either make use of a single placket or a double placket. So for the sake of this tutorial, I will be making use of a double placket on my shirt. But in case you want yours to be a single placket, all you need to do is to divide 5 inches by 2, so which is 2.5 inches. So for a placket allowance, you will be inserting 2.5 inches. For double placket, it's going to be 5 inches. So I will measure 5 inches from the edges of my pattern paper inward. So I will take this measurement from the beginning of my pattern downward to my shirt length. The length of my pattern paper is the length of my shirt. Okay guys, now I have my line drawn out, as you can see. So this is a center front line now. So every horizontal measurement I will be taking will be starting from the straight line I drew out. So this part is my placket allowance. And if you know this is going to get you confused, you can fold in your placket allowance. So after drawing out my center front line, so the next step is to construct the neckline. The basic neckline measurement for shirt making is 3 inches by 3 inches. So this measurement is not constant. So this depends on the neck circumference measurement of the wearer. So when you are taking measurement for a shirt making, the neck circumference measurement is necessary. So you have to take the neck circumference measurement plus every other measurement you will be using. In taking the neck circumference measurement, the measuring tape comes from the back and it goes around the neck area. So this is the base of the neck. The base of the neck is where 2 bones appears on the neck area. Okay, and at the back of the neck, there is a backbone as well. Your measuring tape must relax on the back neck bone. So with what I have on my measuring tape here, I have 15.5 inches. Okay, so when taking the neck circumference measurement, you have to be very careful. The measurement must not choke the wearer like so. It must not choke the neck. So it has to be like this, like something coming downward from the back. It has to relax on the front neck bone. So you can see what I'm having here. So this is how to take the neck circumference measurement, and your index finger must be in between the measuring tape, so which is going to serve as the ease on the neck area. So at the back of the neck, the measuring tape must relax on the backbone. It must not be above the neck bone. So you have it like so. So this is how to take the neck circumference measurement. So after getting the neck circumference measurement, then I will proceed in constructing the neckline. So I will start with the neck depth of 3 inches and the neck width of 3 inches. As I said earlier, this measurement is not constant, though 3 inches by 3 inches is a standard measurement used in constructing the neckline. okay, but in shirt making the neck circumference measurement is involved, so you can alter this measurement. After constructing your measurement with 3 inches by 3 inches, you can either subtract from this or add to it. This depends on the value you got after taking the neck circumference measurement. Then you compare the value you've gotten with the neck circumference measurement you are working with. So what I'm constructing is a basic neckline. Okay guys, now I have the neckline constructed, as you can see, after which I took the measurement around the neckline, and the measurement I got here is 5 inches. So I will keep this measurement aside. So after constructing the back neckline, I will add the front and the back neckline together. So this is when I will know either to add to this measurement or reduce the measurement. So after constructing the neckline, the next step is to construct the shoulder slope. In constructing the shoulder slope, this requires half of the back measurement. Half of the back measurement I'm working with is 8.5 inches. Okay, so and because this is a female shirt, I will be adding ease of half of an inch, which makes it 9 inches. This also depends on how wide you want your shirt to be. If you want your shirt to be very wide, you can make the ease 1 inch or 0.75. But as for me, I want this shirt to be a little bit fitted, not too fit, but it should be fitted a little. So I added half of an inch of ease on the back. After inserting half of the back measurement, the next step is to insert half of the armhole circumference measurement, which is the armhole depth measurement. So the measurement I'm working with is 8.5 inches. Okay, then I will be adding extra 0.25, which is going to serve as his, because this is a shirt. So instead of 8.5, I'm inserting 8.75. So which I have there, and I will insert the measurements on the other side. So I will make this a straight line, and I will insert half of the back measurement on the line. So this line is the chest level. So on the chest level, I will insert the same half of the back measurements. Okay guys, now I have the armhole line and the chest line drawn out. So this line is the armhole line, while this line is the chest level. So from the center front to this point is half of the back measurement. From the center front to this point as well is half of the back measurement. Okay, then from the edges of my pattern paper, which is my starting point, to this level is the armhole depth measurement, which is half of the armhole circumference measurement, which I added extra 0.25 as is. If you want your shirt to be very wide, you can make this half of an inch. So the heels you will be adding to the chest level will be half of an inch. Then on the back measurement as well, if you want your shirt to be very wide, you want it free, you can make this 1.5 inches or 2 inches. It all depends on the style you are making. So as I said earlier, this is going to be like a medium large shirt. It's not going to be too fitted and it's not going to be too loose. So I added half of an inch as is on the back. Okay, so on the armhole line, I will take 1 inch downward, so which I will be using in slanting the shoulder. Then I will connect this straight to the neck depth measurement. Okay, so now I have this. So after creating the shoulder slant line, the next step is to construct the armhole. So this is a regular way of constructing the armhole. There is no special thing. So on the chest level, I will be inserting quarter of the bust circumference measurement plus extra 1 inch. So the 1 inch is going to be as is on the armhole area, purposely because I don't want my shirt to be too wide. If you want to make a very loose shirt, you can add more than 1 inch as your ease. Okay guys, now I have the shoulder slant constructed and the armhole at the same time. Okay, so the next step is to reduce the shoulder line. Okay, so I will be taking 1 inch away from the upper part of the front panel, purposely because when making a shirt, the back panel is usually longer than the front panel. So I will be taking 1 inch away from the front panel, which will be added back to the back panel when we are ready to draft. So in doing this, from this point where the shoulder slant started, don't forget that every other thing we have here is not part of the pattern. So the pattern started from here to this point. So from this point, I will measure 1 inch downward. Like so. Then on the neck point, I will measure 1 inch downward as well. Then I will connect the 2 points together. Okay, so this is going to serve as the new shoulder line. So what I have here is going to be the new shoulder line. So I will cross this out. So this is the new shoulder line for the front panel, and it extended to the neckline as well. So when I'm ready to cut, I'll cut and stop here. Then on the armhole area as well, I will start cutting from here. Okay, so the next step is to insert the remaining vertical measurement. I have the chest level inserted already, so I will be inserting the bust level, the empire level, the waist level, and the hip level. The hip level is the length of the shirt. So from the edges of my pattern paper, which is the starting point, I will be inserting the remaining vertical measurements: the bust level, the empire level, the waist level, and the hip level, which is the same thing as the shirt length. But if you want your shirt to be longer, you can insert the exact shirt length measurement after inserting your hip level. So what I'm trying to say is, if your shirt is going to be below the hip level, you will need to insert the hip level measurement and the shirt length measurement. Now I have the remaining vertical measurements inserted. As you can see, I have the chest level, the bust level, empire level, the waist level, the hip level, and the shirt length. So the hip level is the same thing as the shirt length for me. Now that I have this done, the next step is to plot the darts. This step is optional. You can either add a dart to your shirt or leave it as dartless. If you don't want a dart on your shirt, you can skip this step and move to the next step. So in this video, I will be adding a side dart on my shirt pattern. If you want a side dart on your pattern, definitely you must have constructed the side seam. So before adding my dart, I will need to construct my side seam first. So after which I will construct my side darts. Okay, so I will insert the empire level circumference measurement, the waist level, and the hip level. So on each measurement, I will be adding ease of 1 inch. So after constructing the side seam, then I will add my side darts. Okay guys, now I have the side seam constructed and I have my side dart plotted. Okay, so on the empire level, I inserted quarter of the empire circumference measurement plus extra 1 inch as is. On the bust level, I did not insert any measurements, purposely because I've inserted the bust measurements on the chest level and I added 1 inch as is as well. On the waist level, I inserted quarter of the waist circumference measurement plus extra 1 inch as is. Then on the hip level, I inserted quarter of the hip circumference measurement, but in this case I did not add up to 1 inch as my ease allowance, purposely because this is where the shirt is stopping and I want it to stay firm on the hip level. So here I added half of an inch as his. so I did not add 1 inch on the hip level. So then I connected the point together, which makes the side seam. So this is where the construction stops. So I will explain how I got my hem allowance.